We came to Melbourne to have a chat to Josh Frydenberg. Of course, he's under fire right now from a whole bunch of fake independents, the soft left, all the rest of it. But of course, his main job, after being a local MP, is to be the treasurer of the country. He put together, with Scott Morrison, JobKeeper, and I believe that alone is a reason why they deserve another 3 years. They save people's lives. I'll tell you a story about somebody who was impacted by that decision in a second. But first, here's Josh Frydenberg talking about the fork in the road and the economic consequences of each way Albo in charge.
Don't look at what Anthony Albanese says, look what Anthony Albanese does. His whole career, he has championed higher taxes. Death duties, carbon tax, mining tax, congestion tax, higher superannuation taxes, family business taxes, higher income taxes, and don't forget the housing tax and the retirees tax, all of which he said Labor had a strong mandate for. Now, he's tried to roll himself into a small ball and avoid that level of scrutiny and say, oh, we'll just be like the coalition. Well, hang on, that's never what you've been like. You've never been like the coalition, and we know you're going to run higher deficits here. You've even admitted that. You've got heaps of additional spending commitments and aspirations, and then you're going to deliver a budget after the election. Well, what's in that budget? Australians deserve to know what's in that budget before the election, not after it. So I think people can be very, very nervous about the prospect of a Labor government.
I say every night, would you bet your house on Albo? Because the truth is, by their own stated policy, not a talking point, it's their own stated policy, they're going to spend $70 billion more over 4 years than the current government. Their policies when it comes to extra pressure on business, it speeds up inflation, it speeds up interest rates, let alone the 40% thing of trying to own people's houses. Is that what you think one of the questions people have to ask themselves before they go to the booth? Would you bet your joint house on Albo?
And also that they haven't put one policy in for official costings. We've put 27 in. Yeah, well. Right, so you can go to the Treasury and the Finance website, you can look there and see coalition policy and the costing done independently. You don't get that with the Labor Party. You'll probably get it a minute to midnight ahead of election day, and that's because they don't like that level of scrutiny. And Anthony Albanese didn't know the cash rate, didn't know the unemployment rate, never held a Treasury portfolio, never delivered a budget. He's championed higher taxes his whole career. This guy is not fit to be the Prime Minister.
So the immediate challenge to you here is obviously, you know, Labor gets enough and then falls back, the fake independent, and it's hard to work out what the actual support for that person is. That we read about how they are paying volunteers to make it look like they're more popular. They're painting on the side of buildings they don't have permission for.
It's true.
Obviously, you've got to imagine that there's one vote in it and you've got to fight for every vote in it. But there is such dishonesty in the way that they present themselves. Is that fair?
In my case, I'm up against a former long-standing member of the Labor Party who sought to conceal that. When they were asked by the media what is their political background, they said they had none. They said they were a clean skin. They went as far as to say they were a small L Liberal. Well, small L Liberals don't go and attack the Liberal Party and promote the Labor Party. They don't go and join the Labor Party in the way that she did. And this is the issue here. People in Kooyong, they don't want a Labor Party member, otherwise they would have voted for one in the last 120 years, but they haven't.
Correct.
What they want, right, is a hard-working local, and in my case, somebody who's been the treasurer and helped steer the economy through a pretty difficult and challenging time. But these so-called independents are asking the community for their vote, but they're not prepared to tell the community how they will vote in the event of a hung parliament. I think that is fundamentally dishonest.
But also, our lived experience of the past couple of years was, in 2019, no one knew what was coming. So you have to hire people who have experience to know how to respond to what is unknown. That's what they get with you. They get with you somebody who's in the driver's seat of the country, who can literally help build a clubhouse like you have here, who can help people who are living above that shop. The offering of the independents, in my view, is somebody who can give speeches and interviews on Radio National. Well, that's it.
They're no more than a slogan and a billboard. There's a lot of billboards and there's a few little slogans, but there's no detail on the policy. When I debated Monique Ryan on Sky, she confessed that they had no tax policy. no defence and national security policy, no costings behind their singular policy, which is an emissions reduction target of 60%. In fact, when Neil Mitchell asked her the question, what is the cost of your policy, her reply was, that's an unreasonable question. I don't think it's unreasonable to tell the community whose vote you're seeking what is the cost of your policy.
This is it. And so, I mean, my final question about the fake independents, because look, again, I think it's well established what they're really about. I love Bronwyn Bishop's Simon Says party line. I think it's fantastic. But again, you know, John Anderson, former Deputy PM, was on the show a couple of weeks ago. Great man. And he says, look, these are people who would read every word of a mobile phone contract, who seemingly want to hire somebody who, unless it's a hung parliament, have no role in the process. If they vote for you, they've got somebody in a decision-making position, not an advocacy position, a decision-making position. So if you want outcomes, vote for the person who can actually deliver one, rather than just, you know, get your head nodding at a dinner party.
Well, you know, Scott Morrison likes to tell the story about Anthony Albanese failing a job interview because he doesn't know the cash rate, doesn't know the unemployment rate, you know, barely has a plan. Well, these so-called independents, they wouldn't even get the interview to start with because they don't have enough of a CV to actually get them in the door, other than what they've done before going into attempted politics, rather than what they're saying when they're running for office, the detail of the consequences of what they're proposing.
Good luck, and honestly, thank you for what you've done for the country, and I look forward to what you're going to do for the country.
Thanks, Paul.
Good on you, mate. He's a good man. Two blokes hanging out in Melbourne this Saturday ahead of Democracy Sausages next Saturday. And I saw something amazing at the pre-poll, early voting, and nobody knew that I was there to see it. A bloke who I thought looked like he was going to be one of these sort of, you know, oh-so-woke lefties, puffer jacket and all, makes a beeline to Josh, and I'm thinking, oh, OK, here we go. With tears in his eyes, said, February last year we were going to sack everyone, but thanks for JobKeeper we didn't, and our business is stronger than ever. That's why this isn't over. No matter what the media tells you, all day, every day, nothing is inevitable. You are in charge. Let's